All right. Welcome, my friends, my subscribers.
But
Thank you for joining me today on the other morning show.
It's live. Yep. Welcome everybody to the other morning show. I'm Dimebag Doily,
To Powers Mine.
and today is May the 11th, 2018.
the year of our Lord.
So, I just want to say thank you to the sponsors. Aprium Construction. If you're in the St. Louis metropolitan area, please give them a call. Area code 314-300-9455. They'll give you free bids on any job you may have. Also, Digital Duelers at digitaldueler.com. And
I just want to thank some of the people that contribute to the show lately. Appreciate it. All the new subscribers, the ones that's been with us since day one. Thank you.
All right, without further ado, I have Steve Hindy of Shark showing animals respect and kindness on the line today. He's actually on location, secret location. He's doing some work. He'll be probably uploading the footage from this endeavor sometime this weekend. But it's our honor and pleasure. Steve, you there?
Sure.
Awesome. Would you like to add anything to the, let people know what you're doing right now?
We're just doing what we've always done, which is to document video of animal abuse so that people can learn about what's really going on for themselves and hopefully do something about it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And it's just not, and when he means animal abuse, folks, if you haven't gone to Shark's YouTube page, I implore you all to check it out. We're talking about some of the most graphic ways to kill animals. First, you dehydrate them, and we're talking about specifically pigeons here. You'll dehydrate the bird, you'll starve the bird, and then on the day of the hunt, and it's known as a canned hunt because it's so this barbaric, they'll just take the guy will just take the bird and throw it up in the air. And oh boy, just take a shotgun and just blast it to hell. So that's what we're talking about. And I want it to be extremely graphic in your minds, what we're dealing with. And just how dangerous the work that Steve's doing is. He's going out here and dealing with people who have real power that could actually hurt you, that can actually throw you in jail. Hell, they send the cops down as their goons to basically accost him and his crew to try to get them to stop filming. But, he knows his rights. He knows the law. So 9 times out of 10, he shuts them down. So, without further ado, could you give us a little insight about the basically the canned pigeon hunts? What are they really all about, and who's typically sponsoring them? Are they Republicans or Democrats?
You know, when I can, I avoid bringing politics into it, but I have to admit that these people are almost always Republicans.
Wow.
They're always these people who claim to be conservatives. And the reason that I don't like to bring politics into it is that there are at the same time a lot of conservatives who care about animals.
Yes.
I guess it's a lot like this whole Christian, the whole Christian movement, where there's a lot of Christians who are genuinely caring, loving people.
Right.
And then you've got the clowns that are, like supporting Trump and supporting guns. And they don't want abortions. They want to stop abortions. But then as soon as the baby's born, they're completely hands off. And if the mother doesn't have food or whatever for the baby, that's not their problem.
They love the fetus and hate the child.
Well, no, let's be honest. They like the child around about 18 when it's time to fight. At fighting age. In there, they want to go back and deal with the child again. Come on to my military. Let's fight.
And with all of that said, if you looked at my voter registration, you'd see that I'm a registered Republican. But see, to me, there's a very thin line between a responsible Democrat, meaning a Democrat who cares about social programs but doesn't want to see tax money wasted,
right,
and a compassionate conservative or compassionate Republican who believes in, business and free trade and all this kind of thing, but believes that there also has to be care for people who need it the most.
Right.
And I think the reason that I'm kind of right on the line there is that my family and I, we were born. I was born into poverty. We lived in the Roosevelt housing projects in St. Paul, Minnesota. In fact, that was a step up. I was born in real slums.
Oh wow.
Got into the projects in Minnesota, which most people would consider to be the slums, but it's definitely not the bottom. And from there, was able to work in the business community to get to own my own business and all that kind of thing.
So you found upward mobility.
The animal work that I do. I'm sorry?
So you was able to find upward mobility in society. You was able to, leave the social class that you was born into and achieve somewhat a monetary success.
The economic class, yes, moved through it. So I like the idea of conservatism when it comes to letting people work into a better position. And I absolutely believe in, the Democratic Party's attempts to give opportunities to people who are in the lower economic class. I've been a great beneficiary of that because, when I just got to the point, a young teenager, the government provided us with jobs that taught us, we would clean up parks and stuff like that, and it taught us discipline, taught us how to deal with the job.
Right.
And so I like the whole thing, whether it's a responsible Democrat or a compassionate conservative, whatever, What I don't like is either a liberal who just thinks that government ought to do everything, or a conservative who only wants to make $1 zillion and to hell with everybody else.
like our leadership now. They just want to make the money.
Absolutely, like our leadership now.
Gotcha.
The things that I say about Trump, for instance, if he was a Democrat, I'd be saying exactly the same thing.
But is Trump really the problem? Is it not the whole society in which we find ourselves in? Most people, if they're honest. Oh, I'm sorry. What was you about to say?
In Trump, the American people have finally gotten the government they deserve.
Ooh. That's so painful. Because, we could be headed to some very, very unpleasant places very, very fast. With the...
about it. No, this country is on track to become a third world nation in the next 100 years, if it even takes that long.
I think we already living in the beginning stages of that.
If you go down south.
No question.
Drive through rural Alabama.
Yes, it's pretty rough. Hell, drive through rural Missouri.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty rough.
Drive through parts of Chicago.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit. But this is, you cannot tell me that this is not by design. There's many people in very astute, Ivy League colleges, ecologists, and they just sit here crunching numbers all day. You cannot tell me that they're not aware that in the 80s, when we decided to go to a service-driven economy, they did not realize the ramifications of that. We can only have so many waiters and
I don't
clerks.
think that they cared. The people who were making those decisions were going to be gone in 30 or 40 years.
Right.
And they cared about themselves and not much more.
But they take so little money. They sell us out for so little. We're talking like a couple $100,000. It's not like they make millions of dollars. What was that one government official got caught taking bribes? I think it was like to the tune of $32,000 or something. And it's like, this is not a lot of money, but they're selling us down the river for chump change.
Well, they're just cheap whores.
There you go, cheap whores.
And we're the chumps.
Yes, we are. And we're sitting here bickering with each other. Oh, you're a liberal, you're a conservative. But at the end of the day, name me one state where you don't have to pay property tax on the home that you live in. Just one.
It ain't none.
And, you know, after having taken a swipe at the conservatives or at the Republicans, I can turn right around and I can look at the animal protection movement within which I work.
Okay.
And I can tell you that in that movement, there is so much corruption, incompetence, laziness, outright fraud that it just sickens me.
You're talking about with the people who are supposed to be protecting the animals?
We speak out about these things. We're really, it's getting to the point where we're hated almost as much on the animal protection side as on the side that we're supposed to be fighting against.
Right.
So how can we fix that? How can we clean this situation up?
Everybody just has to stand up for what's right. And I think people, for the most part, know. Maybe not Trump. I think maybe Trump believes his own lies, but most other people know when they're talking bull.
Yes. Yes, they do.
Right. So
little characters that are hanging around Trump, all of his little minions, they know when he's talking bull. They just don't do anything about it.
They're not going to do anything about it.
You know, one of the biggest... Right. And that's and therein lies our problem.
Yeah, they ain't going to do nothing.
If you go to some of the big animal groups that I'm talking about, they know that they're pulling all kinds of stuff too. Mm-hmm. But some of these big animal groups they're bringing in millions of dollars a week. Every week they bring in $1, $2, $3 million.
Wow.
And this is one of the reasons why I've never ever taken money for doing this, because I've seen what it does to people. And I don't want to become like that. I don't want there to be any chance I'll become like that. So I stay as far away from the money as I can.
You see that as a corrupting element.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
You can handle if you can take that money and do it right. That is a great engine for change. But if you're just going to sit here and basically scale them off the top and not even help the damn animals that you're tasked to do, with the money, that should be criminal.
Well, but you see, and that is in every facet of American life today. Mm-hmm. You've got tobacco executives who will stand up in front of Congress, take the oath on a Bible, and then say, I don't believe nicotine is addictive.
Yep.
You know what?
Yeah.
That we're in so much trouble at that point.
So that's a symptom of our whole society. Like our whole society's debased.
Yeah.
It's like we'd rather be corrupt than righteous.
Because eventually you're going to be doing videos on how they, the same way you do with the animals, they're going to be eventually going to be moving on to humans.
What, with the abuse?
Well, no, the way they have those pigeon shoots and all
where
that
they're
stuff.
just shooting people?
Well, they're probably having some kind of barbaric gladiator style, but you'll be doing videos on that next. Because it's nowhere else to go.
Pigeon shoots.
Huh?
One of the biggest pigeon shoots in the country is in South Carolina. It's a place called Broxton Bridge Plantation, and it is a former slaveholding plantation. I think that's a terrific irony that you've got this former slaveholder plantation that once they couldn't hold slaves anymore, they turned into a canned hunting club. Mm-hmm. So one way or another, one species or another, they were going to use flesh to raise money.
Yep.
Wow, they're flesh merchants.
Yeah.
That's what they are. They're fucking flesh merchants.
It's only a matter of time before they have your peoples in their
grasp.
Yeah.
And that's what's so important about this work that Steve's doing. We got to fundamentally get out here and start changing people's minds to understand, you may eat animals, you might not be vegetarian and all that, but let's get past that. Let's stop being abusive, unnecessarily to animals. You know what I mean?
And see, another thing is like if they was out there, instead of having pigeon shoots, if they were out there doing this stuff with dogs, it would be a totally different story. If I had 100 dogs and I was out there, all my dogs, and I owned all these dogs, and I housed them on my own property.
Right.
And if I was out there fighting these dogs and making money and stuff, doing the same stuff that these people are doing with these pigeon shoots, I'll go to prison for that. But I can sit up here and just kill innocent birds with shotguns as a fundraiser.
All day long.
And the police ain't going to run away you. For me, they're going to come and lock me up.
Right.
You know, if I do that same activity, but except I use a dog instead of pigeons.
Remember that you just roll back 150, 200 years ago, and right down, for instance, at that plantation in South Carolina, you know, the slave owner could do whatever he wanted to his slaves.
Oh, God.
Right.
And
they did too.
So I mean, when you've got people who have this basic disconnect with common decency, with any form of compassion, or any ethics or dignity whatsoever, you end up with these problems. And what is the difference when you really think about it? What is the difference between them and the tobacco merchants who are selling out, especially, you know, the young people who are just trying to be cool? And these people are selling them out so they can make billions of dollars.
Yes.
Right.
And that's the problem. And look at or the gun manufacturers. Look at the gun industry, where babies and children and innocent men, women, and children are being slaughtered by their weapons, and they're trying to make it look like it's a matter of American rights to do that.
Yeah.
Well, we have to understand the origins of Americans' rights to do that. Going back to the slave plantation, was to make sure that the people, the overseers, had a weapon that could keep the slaves in line just in case they tried to rebel. That was the whole origins of the Second Amendment.
Yeah. And the South wouldn't side on to the Union without that put in place.
Without that provision. So let's get that straight.
That's the only reason why we have a Second Amendment in the first place, is because they needed the South, and the South wanted that.
Right.
And that's why they got it, so that slave patrols can have guns to round up the slaves they tried to escape.
Right.
That's where your local police comes from.
Mm-hmm. So then we go back even one step before that, and you've got the interlopers who came to this continent and stole it away from its original inhabitants.
Right.
When we committed the genocide, we committed against Native Americans.
Yep.
Now, how do you feel about righting that wrong? Do you think that they should have their land given back to them?
You know, questions like that, I'll tell you, they're beyond me. But the way I feel about it, whether it's right or wrong, I can't even tell you. But throughout human existence, one people have taken land and resources from others. And this has gone on for thousands and thousands of years. I don't know that we can go back, because if we went back, we might find, well, who was here before the people we now consider to be Native Americans. I think what we have to try and do now is to find a way to live together.
Yes.
And this goes for, the Israelis and the Palestinians, and in the Middle East. We have to try and get past all the wrongs that have been committed for all the generations that we've been around.
Right.
And we just have to go, you know what? Everybody's sinned. Everybody's done wrong to each other.
Yes.
And when you think about it, in doing wrong to each other, we ultimately do wrong to ourselves. So how can we just look at where we're at today and say, okay, now how can we go forward living together in peace and as much harmony as human beings are capable of?
We have to have true
That's the only way forward
representation
that I
under
see.
the law. We can't have situations where, certain citizens get stopped by a cop and they may die. They may literally lose their lives. Whereas another citizen gets stopped by the same cop and he can cuss the cop out, call him all kinds of MFers, put his hands or her hands on the cop maybe, and just get away with maybe a slap on the wrist.
With guns in the car.
Yes, with guns and possibly drugs and alcohol in the car. We have to get to a point to where everyone is adjudicated equally. In other words, if you go up for trial and me and you do the exact same crime, then we should get the exact same punishment. and we don't have that in this
only
country.
way that we're ever going to be able to get along together. And we as not just Americans, but as human beings throughout the world, if we don't start working together, we're literally burning up our planet. We're emptying the oceans of fish. We're polluting it. We're polluting the air. We're using up our water. I mean, we're in a hell of a spot.
Yes.
We may get through this thing, but what about our children and their children? Don't we care about them at all?
We do. We
need
do.
to start coming up with some real plans for the future.
Our offspring is screwed if we continue on this path. We're basically finna hand them over just a slow, painful death.
Right. But we have to understand, and this goes back to the guys who are shooting the pigeons and brutalizing the planet in general.
Right.
If we do not unite and stand up and say, "Hey, look, all you fucks that don't care about don't care about the environment, you don't care about the people, you certainly don't care about anything other than money. You guys cannot be in positions of power. Period. I'm sorry, you just cannot do that." And then replace these people with people who, they're not too much one or the other. They're kind of in the middle, and they have some wiggle room so we can negotiate these things. Because when you're running a nation, there is no black and white. It's all gray. There has to be wiggle room. Because we go too far to the left, we become socialists. We go too far to the right, we become basically a dictatorship. So we have to keep it in the middle. And we got to get rid of this crony capitalism. That has to go.
Well, they wouldn't. Yeah, that'll get rid of a lot of the pigeon shoots and stuff like that if it wasn't capitalism.
And not just the pigeon shoots. Let's talk about the rodeos.
Yeah.
The rodeos. Oh, no animals get harms here. You can see them snapping the damn cow's neck, dude.
Right.
When the guy lassos it on the horse and the other guy lassos it behind the legs, and it's like a Chinese finger cuff, and then the cow's just limping off, the little calf's limping off. This is some very real stuff. And people are like, no, that's just a part of Western tradition. That's not. That's, once again, that's just another way of being a flesh merchant.
Right. Whenever they say tradition, it's always some BS behind it.
Absolutely.
Whenever they say it's tradition, it's some BS behind it. A tradition of bullshit is what it is.
Or hate.
Now, if people wanted to help you, like, take on these entities that do this stuff to collect said funds, where would they be able to find you, and how can they help you?
Website address is shark, as in the fish, sharkonline.org. And a lot of people, they don't really have to work with us. You don't even have to send us your money, although we sure would appreciate it. If you've got a local rodeo, local pig wrestling or something, anything like that involving animals where they might be hurt, it might be cruelty, go on over there with your camera, even if it's just your phone, and film it. And if you see things that you think are wrong, if it looks like the animal's terrorized or might be injured or killed, bring it to your local media and start making noise about it. Bring it to your local city council or county board. And just let people know that you care.
It seems like that's what these people are fearful of the most, being exposed. It's like they want to do their dirty little deeds, in secret.
Right.
And here's the thing. Pigeon shoots used to be very public events. Now, they were usually way out in the countryside, and so there weren't that many people who saw it. But they were very open about it. And rodeos, we used to go to rodeos and the announcer would say, "Okay, folks, get ready with your camera. Watch this." Today, they ban cameras at a lot of rodeos. Mm-hmm. And the pigeon shooters are hiding behind stands of trees and up on top of hills and behind high fences. Bullfighting, they used to allow cameras into the bull rings. Now they tend to frown on that. Right. Because when it really comes down to it, they agree with us. They look at rodeo or pigeon shoots or bullfighting or these various things that we film, and they feel exactly the same way about them. We all know that they're cruel. It's just we want to stop them, and they want to keep it up.
But if it's wrong, Steve, if I know if it's wrong for me to walk into your house and like, basically, smack you around. I keep on doing this. At what point? I'm asking. What point is it useless to even try to talk to these people? Obviously, they're sociopathic. They know it's wrong to hurt things, but yet they still do it. They still do it because they get joy from doing it.
It's because they can't do it to humans.
Yeah,
so as long as animals around, they'll do it to animals until they're allowed to do it to humans. And like I said, it'll be back to the old gladiators. Mm-hmm. We'll just rounding up people.
I just hope that's one part of human history we don't ever repeat.
This is the problem, that we've got people. I compare rodeo people and pigeon shooters and all these other people who know that what they're doing is wrong but continue to do it. I compare them to wife beaters or the pedophiles.
Oh God!
The pedophile absolutely intends to keep doing what he's doing.
Right.
But of course he tries to hide it. He knows it's wrong, and he just doesn't care.
Right.
And people have to start caring. Those people who are peddling, whether it's tobacco or guns or industrial poisons or whatever, they all know that they shouldn't be doing it.
Yep,
That's why they fake tests and they lie to Congress and all this kind of thing. This is why I'm saying people just need to start doing the right thing. Unfortunately, the people who are most willing to do the right thing are those of us who have the least amount of economic and political power.
Yep.
The people with the power are the ones who have sold their souls. They're basically they're morally bankrupt, and they're sociopaths like Trump. I absolutely consider Trump to be a complete sociopath. And he's, as long as we have people like that running the government, running companies, we're screwed.
Yes. And not only that, this clown has access to a button that could eradicate civilization as we know. Just one press of the button. That is the scariest bit. It's sort of like we're the kid on the playground with the baddest weapons, but we let this guy in charge of them. I'm just wondering what the rest of the world is really thinking of us,
What I'm still trying to figure out, and I don't think there's any good answer to this, is what in the world the people who voted for him will think. But sometimes you see him out, there's cameras catching them out in front of one of his rallies or something like that. And I'm telling you what, I don't mean to be just dissing people, but these are some of the dumbest, most inbred goofballs that our species has ever produced.
And it was all by design.
He said inbred goofballs.
It was all done by design.
They are out of their minds.
Well, do you think it was the white lash for Obama?
No.
It wasn't?
No.
I think it is.
I think they're just
I think
rabid people.
No, I tell you what. We went from, and I was not a terribly big fan of Obama. He did some things that I really didn't like.
Right. Me too.
But he was, I think, probably the best president we've ever had. And we went from having probably the most intelligent person who's ever held the presidency and a genuinely a pretty good person to the most idiotic and rotten character. We used to complain about George Bush.
Oh God!
And when you look back on it, and he was bad. George Bush was bad. He was stupid, and I don't think he was necessarily evil. And if he was evil, he certainly wasn't evil on the level of this clown.
Right.
But I think Trump is a perfect picture of the American public in general. I think that image of Trump is America.
What, idiotic buffoon?
Yeah, this country is the majority. And when I say this, a lot of people look at me like I'm crazy, but the majority of the American public is dumb as a box of rocks.
But that's
reality. No, it ain't. That's the education starts in the home.
Well, if you have to work 40, 50 hours, you and your old lady, who's going to be there? You know, who's really grandma? She don't know nothing. You know, I mean, oh my God! Don't get me started on education.
I think you're being too nice. You know, our media has put on television some of the most brain-eating programs you can imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, these reality shows and all this it's just to titillate you, to titillate idiots, and to make them even dumber than they already are. We've got people don't eat right anymore. They don't eat good, healthy food, so it doesn't nourish their brain or their body. I mean, we eat like garbage. We watch television like garbage. And then we've got both sides of the political spectrum who are just sitting there feeding us any kind of candy that they think we'll eat and swallow. Now, at this point, I certainly think that the Republicans are more stark raving mad than the Democrats. But let's face it, the Democrats they're not winners either.
No, and the reason why the Republicans act like rabid dogs is because the Democratic Party is constantly moving to the right, so they have no choice but to be even more batshit crazy.
To make it so you can see a difference.
So you can have a difference, but there is no left-leaning party in this country. And what a lot of people don't realize is, what a lot of people don't realize is, and you ain't gonna hear this on CNN, there's a real divide in that Democratic Party. They won't talk about it. And that's why Trump is in the White House now, and that's probably why he's gonna get reelected.
Because of the divide.
Because of the divide in the Democratic Party that they refuse to talk about.
People get into these little territories and that, and nobody wants to just have open and frank discussions.
Right.
You know, we used to go to some of these national animal rights conferences so we could try and get not just our message out, but our techniques, because they're so successful. But I would talk about the problems within our own movement. I'd be very open about it. I don't like corruption. I don't care where it is.
Right.
And if it's on my side, I actually care about it. I hate it even more. And they didn't want me to talk about it. I'm supposed to keep it quiet. Well, the Republicans are doing that in their party, so you keep the crazies going. And the Democrats are doing it in their party, and it happens in the churches, it happens in families, it happens everywhere.
Yeah.
And we just need to have these frank and honest discussions in order to try and find some real answers to the very real problems we have.
Yes. Yes. Because if we don't, man, this country is going to be divided. And what comes after divide? The fall.
There's only going to be so many animals they can torture and do all this crazy stuff to until they start doing it to your little brothers and sisters and your cousins or your mentally and physically disabled relatives and all that stuff. Because it's going to come.
Yeah, if you have no empathy for your fellow human, or at least no empathy for other creatures on this planet, there's no hope for us. Literally, there's no hope for us. No. Because it's like you said, it's just a matter of time.
It's happening now.
Yes.
And it's been happening for generations. I mean, we've got these elective wars that we get involved in.
Oh, yes.
We've got the environmental poisons, like, the most, we hear the most about, for instance, Flint, Michigan's water problems.
Right.
But those problems exist across the country, and they will get worse, much worse. And there are people who knew about Flint before it became Flint, so to speak, and actively worked to cover it up. And in doing so, exacerbated the situation. That is victimizing innocent men, women, and children.
Right.
Right. Right.
And Flint's only one time. It's all our water that we use is pretty much contaminated
with something, yeah.
And Flint is just the beginning. It's cities all across this country that has water in the same conditions of Flint, and probably even worse.
Well, you see how we fight wars over oil and basically opium. Just think what we will do when we have to fight wars over water.
Well, some defense contractors gonna make a lot of money on their grenade style nukes.
Well, you don't want to use nukes unless you want the water to be clean.
No, it'll be like, they're gonna use some nukes to blow some people away so you can get in there and get that water. They'll probably got some kind of system set up
to decontaminate.
To an extent where you won't grow legs and stuff like that. But you'll probably still get sick once you start bathing in it.
Oh yeah.
So
is there any way, like, say, if if we had listeners out there who are like independent journalists and they film something, that's really sketchy with animals, can they send that to your website and maybe you could like post it on your?
Good.
And how would they need to send that to you?
Well, we have an email address that they could access, info@sharkonline.org.
info@sharkonline.org, folks.
We'll put that in the description at the bottom of the video
too. Absolutely. Because
that's wonderful. Thank
we
you.
have to do a grassroots effort here, guys. No one's getting paid to do this. Everybody's doing this because this is what we want to do. We want to make a better planet. We want to make a better country and better communities all the way around. But it starts with you. You got to get out there. We can't be everywhere. Everybody got their little expertise. We bring this thing together and we can affect some real change that will help our grandchildren. Instead of sitting here talking about the same old talk, getting upset, but not doing anything. And the people who are out here destroying and ravaging our planet, and it is our planet. It does not belong to just one person. It's all of ours. Out here destroying our planet, with impunity, is because we do nothing. We sit and we watch, we work. We don't do anything actively to stop this madness.
Because killing animals in inhumane ways, these animals here also serve a purpose in this whole echo of life. Right. This whole system, the way everything's set up, even though these animals are nuisances and everything else, they play a significant role.
Right.
Now, I do agree that some population control should be done, but just killing them to raise funds for money, for somebody to go buy a new car or some other dumb stuff, it's really inhumane. And Steve, before you go, one of the people in the audience wanted to know about what do you think about Trump removing the child labor laws? What is your opinion on that?
Every move the guy makes is wrong. It's amazing. You would think that even just by accident, every now and then, he would do the right thing. Yeah. I mean, it's just a law of averages. Every now and then, the guy you'd think would do the right thing, but he always does the wrong thing. It's amazing.
We still got 2 more years.
So, oh, God. It's unimaginable. I mean, it's as if he's got the devil in his ear.
Wow. You need to do this, Trumpy. Okay. What kills me is how we all know the story of Rwanda. When they had the civil war there, millions of people died. All right.
Right.
America did nothing. We did nothing. We literally, nope, too bad, too sad. We'll get to coffee that's going to be grown there. And not to really repeat what happened in Syria. It's horrible that anybody has to die, any loss of life. But the response that we did in Syria over the alleged gas attack, if we're really serious about this freedom thing, why don't we go and uninstall all the dictators that some of our secret services installed in some of these Rudy Poot so-called shithole countries? Because they're shitholes because the colonial forces has made it shitholes. They keep on installing leaders in these countries that are not good for the people, that all they want to do.
Well, how you gonna be able to remove those said leaders when we're dealing with that same problem here? If we're putting these people in place all over the globe, the only way that's gonna stop, we got to stop it here first. If we can't do it here, it ain't gonna get done nowhere else.
Well, that's true, but that's the dilemma of the issue that we're dealing with. Yeah, we got to start at home first, but, we got to keep our eyes on the prize, and the prize is the whole planet.
But
we have to stop harming everybody else on the planet.
Yes.
Because so many times, just even from a self-preservation aspect of it, so many times our arms end up being used to kill our people.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. But do you think that's part of the whole false flag narrative? You know, like say that we're a group and we got a group over here. So in order to make them look bad, we got to get some of our guys to dress up like them, attack our own people. We can rally our people now 100% against the other group. You know, it's sort of like you use criminals to keep.
You know, in this wacky world, anything is possible.
Well, that's what some people have suggested, according to, you know, like Al Qaeda and ISIS were actually
Right.
CIA entities that kind of got out of hand or whatnot. But, you know, you would think people who are putting these things together can kind of look at history and see what happens when you get these extremist types, you know, like you said, with weaponry. They immediately use them. They don't hold them. And that's not, you know, oh, I got a bomb, strap it to, blah, 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 and blow, you know, or even the fundamental Christian guy, you know, oh, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to, you know, take my, you know, peacekeeper out and start cleaning up the town. I mean, we got to understand.
All that stuff can be traced back to the United States government. From the local whack job that decides he wants to. Go ahead, Steve.
We have to look at our situation here and realize we are all on this planet together.
Yes.
There has to be a way for us to work together.
Yeah.
There's got to be a way for different religions to live together and respect each other, different political parties. There's enough here for all of us.
Yeah, but
and
unfortunately, that
if
religion.
we just made a real honest effort.
The religion.
The problem
thing
we
can't-
have is that
Oh, I'm sorry.
we're willing to send people to war to make political points or to make arms manufacturers wealthy
Mm-hmm.
or to win re-election. You know, every time when a president gets in real trouble, what's the first thing the president does?
Go
He gets in a war.
Yep.
war.
Because people have that
Yeah, it goes
leadership
on
complex.
When we really care about everybody having clean air and water,
Yes.
adequate water, enough to eat, a good education, doesn't matter what color they are, what their religion is, what their sexual persuasion is. None of that matters. We just want to try and everybody to live together in peace. Until we have that attitude, we're just screwed.
We are. But, you know, touching on the first category that you mentioned, religion, you know, unfortunately, you know, I studied it from all angles. There's no way around that one. That's a huge hurdle, because when you have doctrines that says that only your way is right and everyone else is wrong, and not just everyone else is wrong, you shouldn't even associate with these people, so therefore you can't talk if you do have a problem.
Well,
there's no opportunity to discuss some sort of solution. So, you know, that's a hindrance.
Well, I know in the Christian religion. I know in the Christian religion.
What you always find with those religions is that those are the extremists. You know, we're not against all business people, are we?
No.
But we are against business people who are willing to sell out other people their safety and welfare so that they can make money.
Yes.
Those are business extremists. There are political extremists, you know, so on and so on. It's the extremists that are turning the world to shit.
Yes.
You know, in extremists in all different walks of life, but it's always the extremists. And I believe in tolerance, but I'm not tolerant of extremism.
Yes, you can't be, because it's not tolerant of you.
But what if the book about the God that you're supposed to worship tell you this is how you're supposed to behave?
Give an example.
Well,
like in the
you
book,
know, for
like
instance,
okay,
in Christianity.
I'll give an example. In the book of Deuteronomy, it clearly states if anybody, regardless if it's your mom, your dad, your aunt, your cousin, your brother, if they don't believe in the same God you believe in, they should be punished by death. That's in the book of Deuteronomy. So, like, if I'm a Christian...
Look,
go ahead.
There's extremism in the Bible.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They
There's
tell you to
extremism
behave
in
like
the Quran.
this. Yeah.
Well, this is the 21st century.
Right.
And we have not only the opportunity, but the obligation look at things now in a new light. There are a lot of things in the old books that are great lessons. And we need to take the great lessons and we need to set aside the ones that are bad. And if everybody just, look, let's face it, the people who are extremists, these are the people who can't think for themselves.
Right.
They're not the sharpest knives in the drawer. And that's why they have to follow somebody.
Right.
They have to have somebody who tells them what to do, what to think, and how to live their lives, because they can't figure it out for themselves. But those of us who can figure it out for ourselves and are willing to talk to other people and try to come up with a way forward where we all get to share the planet together, responsibly, that's what we need to try to do.
Yeah.
And the problem at this point is that we have so many numbskulls, so many extremists based in different directions, that's why everybody's just fighting like hell.
Right.
Yeah, it's like organized chaos.
It really is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's organized chaos. Yeah. Are you good on time, Steve? I know y'all busy up there.
A little bit more, just a little bit.
Okay.
All right, good. So, if young people, like I'm talking about, like high school kids, maybe to early college kids, if they really want to try to effect a change, like in their little small town or maybe on the college campus, do you have any ideas, like maybe certain groups they could try to start?
There are so many problems today that anybody who really wants to just try and better this world, there are a zillion different ways they can go. You can start by just, if you see an animal in need, if you see a person in need, if they need a meal, get them a meal.
Yes.
How much does that cost? A few bucks?
Yeah, $5, $7.
Yeah. And if you've only got one or two to spare, ask a couple of your friends if they've got one or two to spare, and get somebody a meal. And if you have friends, or if you yourself, if you've been bullying somebody, stop it. Try and make them their friend instead of your enemy. Try and get along and kind of come together. It's amazing sometimes what happens when people who are on opposite sides of whatever an issue is, when they actually spend time talking. The common ground that can be found. There was one time when we were approached by a bunch of bow hunters, and I hate bow hunting because a lot of animals are injured. But we were approached by bow hunters who were upset that a certain piece of property was going to be used for a hunt because it was a wildlife refuge, which means the animal should be completely safe.
Right.
But the government decided to use it for a hunt, inexplicably. And these bow hunters came to us. At first, I thought they were playing a trick, but then I realized that they were serious. And so we worked with them on this project. And I like these guys immensely. We agreed to disagree about bow hunting. But I'll tell you, these guys were harder workers and more ingenious than most of the animal protection people that I work with.
That's a harsh indictment.
So, not surprised.
Well, things. It is what it is.
Yes.
And so we worked together with them, and we were friends and kind of talked for years. It's been a while now, but and here's the thing: if you really believe in what you believe in, then by working with the other side, or at least being willing to talk to them, they just might come over to your side. They might come to see things your way.
Yes, if it's the truth.
And so, what do you have to lose?
Right.
The only thing I can think of, if you know that what you're talking about is bullshit, you have the to lose the bullshit that you got everyone believing. People are scared to say the emperor doesn't have on clothes when we all know he doesn't.
Right.
It's really sad because a lot of people are like lemons still. Oh, well, they're doing it, I'll do it too.
Yeah, it's just
definitely a furred species.
Right, but that's our bit. That's our strength too.
I think it might be time to thin that herd.
No, stop it. Every time we try to thin herds, it's always horrible. No, we just need to let the herd naturally age and go gracefully.
Well, you can always lead that herd to that said cliff, and then you move to the side, and then they all of a sudden, they want to go down to the bottom. I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that out there. But
people have always been this way. They've always wanted to have somebody else to lead them and tell them what to do.
Yeah.
People have always demanded kings and queens and presidents. And even though people will always complain about their leaders,
right,
they always want them.
Yeah.
So the trick is to find good leaders, to follow the right leaders.
Right.
And I think for instance, in the case of Trump, the reason that he is so attractive to some people is that those people are afraid to actually compete with other people.
Right.
Let me be real frank about this. They're losers. They're stupid. And you've got this guy saying, it's okay, folks. It's okay to be racist. It's okay to be stupid. It's okay to just sit there and mope about, I want things the way they used to be.
Yeah.
What's so funny to me about that is that these guys who claim they want things the way they used to be, they say this at the rodeos a lot. They say, we wish things were the way they used to be. And then they'll say, we want to thank our sponsor, Dodge, because Dodge has a new pickup with heated seats and heated steering wheel and the very latest and greatest stuff. So they want the latest and greatest stuff.
Oh.
But they want the old style racism.
Yes.
And that's the problem, is that they can't compete in the real world, and so they find a guy who says it's okay to be just the way you are, racist, stupid, inbred, and homophobic, anti-Muslim, anti-anything that's not like us.
Right. Yeah. Which is basically the majority of the world. And one thing about the racism thing, I notice in a lot of your pigeon shoot, and maybe this is just my personal observation, but I notice it's all old white guys with the shotguns. It's going to be a middle-aged, little older white guy throwing the pigeons up. But the people who are cleaning the pigeons, if they do clean the pigeons up, it's either their children or else it's a Mexican guy, and I think I even saw a brother out there actually picking the dead birds up.
Yeah, Jose and them will go in there and clean that place right up.
Have you noticed any minorities with the shotguns also shooting the damn birds?
I was stunned at one point to see one Asian fellow.
One Asian.
But other than that, they are lily white.
Yeah, that's what I pretty much figured. So there is a racial element to this pigeon shoot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because they can't do it to humans. They got to do it to somebody.
And that's that bloodlust. That's that shit that we gotta eradicate, man. I'm with Steve on that. You cannot tolerate this fascist, intolerable people, because once they get the real power, your ass will be on a train heading right into an oven. They did it before, and like the song says, they'll do it again.
These are the entitled whites. Not everybody. And you guys know this. Not everybody who's white is a racist or even entitled. But there is an entitled white class, and these people are it.
And they will kill you to defend that entitlement too.
Yeah.
They will kill you.
Like Steve said, they can't compete. So they'll fight to the death to keep the system the way it is because they don't know how to compete.
Because if they had to compete, guess what? They lose that Dodge truck. Yep. They'll lose that house. They'll lose that shotgun. They'll lose all that shit.
Yeah.
The only thing they'll pick up is a mop and bucket, because that's the only thing their mind's capable of really carrying.
They ain't gonna be able to do that because Jose and them sister got all the cleaning jobs. No pun intended, but I'm just being honest. The housekeeping industry has been taken over by the Hispanics.
Well, true.
The pigeon shooters in particular, they're an entitled white bunch. and they'll either have not their kids. It won't be their kids. It'll be poor kids.
Yes.
Poor white kids or Mexicans.
Yes.
And they'll be illegal Mexicans, but while these same guys are complaining about illegal Mexicans.
Yes.
Yep.
And here they got the slew of them up in here doing their dirty work. Literally their dirty work.
Yep, they're hypocrites. They're nothing but hypocrites.
Well, what did the miners say? Hypocrisy is like a mind caving in on itself.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, this is what these guys are, you know, and that's what's the whole disgusting thing about it. Because when I'm seeing, these little girls, these two little girls, one had blonde hair and the other had black hair, they grab the birds, all right, one in both hands, and they do this number. They like clap their hands with the birds. What the? Oh Lord, have mercy. Oh Lord, this is retarded.
They do that every time. We did that last week too.
I should have paid the extra bucks to get. We're.
I don't even worry about it.
Yeah, I'm. You know.
It is what it is. It wouldn't be this show
if it didn't have some sort of.
Hey guys, don't know what happened.
It's like the thing just went down. It started doing some craziness. It's like, you know what,
it was going too good.
If you don't want us to talk what we talk, fix our government. We won't have to talk like this.
Only you can fix your government. The lies, it starts with you. It starts with you, said person.
Well, then if it starts with me, I'm saying let's kick this son of a gun off and let's change this government right here, right now.
So
it's changed.
If not, what your country can do for you,
as what you
can do
for your country. And now let's change that for real. As not what your corporations can do for you, as what can you do for the corporations.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it's really about.
Give us your youth and we'll throw you away like garbage when you're broke down.
Yeah, but you'll have a fancy mall to shop at.
Shit. You gotta have funds to shop in the mall.
That is true. You know, Steve, through your travels, you know, like when you stop at the local gas stations or whatever on your way to the place that you film at, do you get a general sense that, like, you know, the racial thing is really taken on in like the rural settings as well as the cities?
I'm not sure about what you're asking.
Like, do you see like you know, because you know, like most people, they see you, they're just like, okay, this is a white guy, right? This is what you look like. You know, like when you go into that store, do you hear, like, if you're like in a little rural area, like, you know, people talking derogatory about minorities, you know, thinking that, you know, you're cool and you're just gonna go along with it, or do you see the opposite of that? Do you see like more people like, hey, you know, these rich guys down the road, they're wrong. They shouldn't be killing these birds. Or do you see like the poor people in the area kind of protecting the rich guys down there?
You know, you see it's a broad spectrum. It really depends.
Okay.
Some people are outraged. Some people are outraged at those people. Some people are outraged at us.
Yeah.
You see everything.
Well, you know why they're outraged at you. Because you're messing with their money. You know, when you go down there and make boss man angry, he'll get drunk and come and smack us workers around. That's what they're thinking. You know, that's why they're so protective. Sort of like that chick on Gone with the Wind, the nanny. You know, when at the end, you know, oh, don't hurt him. Don't, you know, she's throwing her body and trying to protect him and shit. You know, it's sort of like, what's that, Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah.
You know, mixed with some Kung Fu stuff. Because not only do they care for their oppressor, they're willing to die for the oppressor.
There is that happens. It's very, you know, this is a weird thing that you never really get quite used to this. I mean, in a way you do, but in a way you don't. You're always shaking your head going, what the hell is this all about?
Yeah.
I remember when we were up, when the Native Americans were trying to stand up to that pipeline in North Dakota, we went up there to try use our copters to document any police brutality against the protesters, and I was really struck that was some of the most open racism that I saw was up there. The whites, the way they treated the Native Americans.
Can you give an
like
example?
The Native Americans.
Can you give an example?
Yeah. I was sitting in an Olive Garden, and there were a couple of Native Americans sitting a booth over from me, and the white server, the contempt that this woman showed to these people who were customers.
Wow.
It literally took my breath away. I just didn't understand it. They weren't doing anything other than being customers, just like me. And they were just, this woman was loaded with contempt for them. I did not understand.
Well, that's hatred. That's
we
that
went
hatred
and
in our
bought
heart.
some supplies. I just don't know. I don't know where it comes from. I only know where it needs to go to, and that's to hell.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
When we went and bought some supplies to bring out to them. These people were living out in the winter in some pretty rough conditions. And so we found out what supplies we needed they needed, and we went to the local home supply store and we're buying up things to help them start fires and stuff like this. And because those were the supplies that they were needing, they pretty much knew what we were doing. They knew we were where that stuff was going to be going, and they didn't treat us too well for that.
Really? Like you were traitors?
Yes, it was. I don't know what they call it. I suppose that was it.
Traitor.
So, but what these people do, it's amazing. Hey, those folks were there before you, you white piece of shit. And I can't relate to it, and I can't accept it. We have to start living together.
We
got problems that go way beyond politics, go way beyond even the basic things. We are literally consuming this planet like a virus. Human beings have become like a virus that are eating up. We're taking all the resources out of this planet, and we're literally starting to burn it up. And if we don't start working together, well, we really won't have much. In a few more generations, we might not have to worry about a thing. We'll all take care of it all by ourselves, just like an Ebola virus that just consumes its host, and then everybody dies.
That sixth mass extinction is in full effect.
Oh my gosh! It can't be this gloomy, guys. There's hope. We can have aliens show us the right way. The Messiah could show up. Some other guru could show up. Somebody can come and save us, please.
No, it's not going to be aliens. It's either us or it's no one.
Yeah.
And that's the part that we got to wrap our heads around. We got to get really serious about it. And it's not that we all have to come up with a master plan to save the planet. It's each and every one of us actually just saying, okay, you know what? I'm white, and I give a damn about the black man and woman, the Asian man and woman, the person who is a homosexual, the person who is a Muslim, and the Muslim has to care about the Catholic, and the Catholic has to care about the agnostic, and so on and so on. We just all have to go, you know what? We all breathe the same air. We all want to drink clean water.
Yes.
And we have to find a way to live and work together, and we have to have these animals on this planet, because you lose the animals, and you lose the plant life, and it's a very fragile puzzle. Now, the puzzle may not explode in 5 seconds. It doesn't work that way. But the puzzle can be broken up. And once you start breaking up the puzzle, you can't unring the bell.
Right.
And we're going to ring that bell at some point. It can't be unrung, and that'll be it.
Yep.
But
it'll all be our fault.
How do we deal with people who literally have a religion of death, like the Satanists? And, let's not, beat around the bush here. We know Satanism's real. We know that it has infiltrated a lot of government agencies. It's infiltrated Hollywood. And I'm not talking about, Mr. Wicked, a couple. I'm talking about a straight-up Satanist who on fucking Halloween kills a kid, drinks the blood, and all the horrible shit. The real deal. And people are like, oh, no, he's crazy. But these are the fucks that are really running the show. That's why they have no care. That's why they can go out. Oh, I'm sorry.
I think the first thing we have to try and deal with is there are issues that are going to be very tough for us to take on, and there are other issues that are much more simple. If we show if we show love and caring for those right around us, and we can come together in that way, not unlike what we're doing right now,
right.
where we start to build. You start to build there are terrorism cells out there. There are hate cells out there. What we need are love cells and responsibility cells.
Yes.
And we build them in the same way that they build theirs, only we build ours on a solid foundation of this is what's going to make the world better. People who are praying for war and genocide will never make the world better. They think they will, but of course, we know that ultimately everything will be lost.
Right.
So what we need to do, and this is, in fact, we as common citizens, I think this is the only way we can do it, is you start locally and you build for globally.
There you
go. What we're doing in chasing around these animal abusers, well, we have the ability to do that. We have, equipment and techniques and plans and all this kind of stuff. But if I was just like one of the neighborhood guys, then what I would do is, what we do on that level. For instance, we had some gangs have come through our neighborhoods and have burglarized places. All right, this is a time and this is an opportunity for our neighbors to all pull together, kind of know each other better, look out for each other's interests, and set up. We set up some cameras and self-defense. Operations so that we can protect our immediate neighborhood.
Yes.
But then you can build out from there. Let's help the neighboring neighborhood to improve so that they're not victims of crime, and so on and so forth. And let's keep building on that as long as we can. And then as individuals, we can really talk about, who do we need running the government?
Yes.
So that we're not starting wars, so that we're taking on pollution instead of adding to it, and all that kind of stuff. If we were doing that, if we were trying to use intelligence and caring and responsibility to elect our officials, then we wouldn't have Trump.
No, we would not.
And we never would have had Sarah Palin and all these other complete crazies. I mean, these people are nuts. And it's not. As I said, I'm not just bashing Republicans. I am a registered Republican, have been all my adult life. But I see very difference between me as a Republican who cares about people versus me as a Democrat. If that's what I was, if I was registered as a Democrat, I would still be the same person. I would just, Republicans and Democrats used to live together, used to work together.
Right.
It's only in this attitude now of everybody grabbing everything that they can. I shouldn't say everybody. I'm talking about mainly people in government, people in business, and this who are just grabbing for everything they can, are willing to sell us out for a penny.
And they do all day long.
And literally, yeah, they literally do. Car manufacturers and drug manufacturers, and that they're willing to sell us out so that they can make relatively little extra profit. But everything matters. They want it all. They don't want enough.
They want it.
They don't even want more. They want it all. And that's the kind of thing that we have to start ostracizing those people, expose them and ostracizing them, because what we've been doing instead, through our media and through government net, we have rewarded them.
Yes.
We say, oh, this guy made $1 billion, and we treat this person like he's a hero, like he's a role model. People who are selling us out are not heroes, they're not role models, they're thugs, they're villains.
Yes.
And we need to, and this is the biggest problem maybe, is that we've got such a terrible value system in this country at this point that we're aggrandizing the very people who shouldn't even be part of society.
Right.
The maniacs, the sociopaths.
Right.
Well,
Right.
it's a bunch of narcissists all over the place.
Well, yeah,
y'all know
that is
the final stage of a narcissist is a sociopath.
right, because you're not going to follow me, so now you got to die.
Yeah.
You know, that's extremism. Once again, instead of them killing somebody for religious tenets, they're just killing them for personal gratification.
That's the highest level of narcissism is a sociopath. There you go.
Yeah. And these animal killers that we go after, I mean, they're such narcissistic pricks.
Yep.
And
Seriously, what's the difference between that
know,
guy that's shooting 100 damn pigeons today and Michael Vick and the dogs that he had the situation? You know, he went to jail for that dog situation. How come these guys cannot? Oh, I know why. Because the judge right beside me shooting a duck. You know, the prosecutor's right there beside me shooting a pigeon. You know,
because
absolutely right about that.
What it is
you are so on track with that I'm stunned. We when we were going after some pigeon shoots in Pennsylvania, we found a guy who he was a judge. We took pictures of this guy shooting pigeons in front of a Confederate flag.
Yes.
In Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And we tried to get people looking at that. We went to the civil rights organizations. We went to Al Sharpton's group, and we went to the NAACP, and we were going to these groups saying, look at this, you know, because, and this was during the time when people were really kicking up a fuss about people waving around the American flag, and the Confederate flag, I should say, and nobody would do a thing.
No.
It was very frustrating.
Well, a lot of those groups that you just mentioned, unfortunately, were co-opted in the beginning, and all they serve is some sort of like media mouthpiece.
Yeah.
You know, whenever something pops off, okay, bring up Al. Okay, get this guy over here and bring him down and calm the people. As far as actually implementing change, those are the wrong organizations to go to. That's like trying to go to the classic church talking about let's stop raping young boys. It ain't gonna happen.
And you know, when I was saying earlier about the big humane groups, that it's this very same thing. They were started by caring people years or decades ago, but they have been co-opted by the people who are now the money people.
Yes.
And this happens a lot, and it's the very same thing. And like I said, we're allowing, you know, so many times you get people with real vision and real principles come in and they start something up, but at some point they're gonna die, they're gonna move on or whatever, and here come the profiteers, you know, following behind them. I don't know why that always happens, but it does seem to always happen.
I guess because if you have
it is nothing but trouble.
You got the ability to print up all the money like the Federal Reserve does. Heck, I can make a wheelbarrow money. Now go and take it to that group and let's destroy them with a few money, and they'll get, you know, decadent. They'll get accustomed to living a certain way, and then they'll be, you know, once the leaders become so rich, they'll psychologically break apart from the poor followers underneath them. So there'll be a disconnect, and then the group will disintegrate.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It happens all the time.
Yep.
All right, guys. I gotta go and do some stuff, but I always enjoy talking to you.
Hey, we appreciate you.
Speak the truth.
Yes.
Well, thanks for coming on, and be safe up there.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to your video when you upload it.
You
I'm
got
a big
it, man.
fan,
We'll be in
Steve.
touch.
All right. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you much. Bye-bye.
And there you go, folks. That was Steve from Shark. You can find him on YouTube.
And there will be links below in the video, obviously. Just give us a couple hours to get all that up, you know.
And go ahead. I wanted to say some stuff before we go off.
Me too. Today's show, you know, it was about the animals. Obviously, you know, it's about animal abuse. But I hope that, you know, those of you who watch this video will make the mental connections between the humans and the animals. We treat the animals like shit, then you understand why we treat each other like shit. And I want to echo something that me and Jane Elliott talked about the other day. You know, when you look at another human being, you're looking at your cousin. We are only one race. There's only one race, and that's the human race. And we're all cousins. We're all separated, you know, by maybe, you know, whatever. You know, you could be my 60th cousin or some shit, but we all come from the same, you know, the same spring. That's all I got to say. Let's unite and do what's right.
I want to say happy Mother's Day to my mom. I love you. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. This show is dedicated to Mary McDonald. May you rest in peace. You'll be missed. And to all the moms out there that's, you know, doing the best they can in the conditions that they living in. You know, your kids love you. I love you, Mom.
Yeah, we love you too. You know, Mom's
Peace out.
And this has been the Other Morning Show. Please check out Aprium Construction, 314-300-9455. Also check out digitaldoulars.com and also check out shark.org.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it. That's the show. Enjoy your weekend. And
don't go get a haircut.
Get too crazy. I want to see my...
Just hit the X. Should be an X at the top.
Yep. Well,